For this video, we're going to be talking about how I not only wrote but also published this book in less than a year, and how I hopefully plan on doing it all again this upcoming year. Hello everyone, my name is Mandy Lynn. I'm an author, book cover designer, and the creator of the Book Launch Planner. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how I publish Meet Me at the Summit in less than a year and how I plan on following the same sort of formula for the second book in the series and what my plan is. It will be breaking things down month by month. Meet Me at the Summit is a book that I wrote during NaNoWriMo, also called National Novel Writing Month. And since the writing season is upon us again, and by that I mean Preptober in NaNoWriMo, I did want to let you guys know that I have special stickers for the occasion. We have Preptober stickers as well as NaNoWriMo stickers. For Preptober stickers, they are decorative stickers, whether that be office supplies or fall decorations, but we also have a special book outlining sticker that has scene stickers and character stickers in Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, all the types of stickers that you would want if you were outlining in either your bullet journal or any sort of notebook. And then we also have a NaNoWriMo sticker pack that includes a word count sticker sheet that is shaped like a leaf and a word count sticker sheet that is shaped like pumpkins. And then of course we have the NaNoWriMo sticker sheet. Now this one is my personal favorite because not only can you set your word count goals and write down what your working title is, but we also have these little trophies so you can give yourself a sticker when you hit 5K, 10K, 25K, 40K, and 50K. And then a few of these sticker sheets have these little strips. Now these strips are actually washi tape stickers, so you just peel them and use them to make everything look prettier. So if you needed a little extra motivation, because I know I will, I'm not feeling quite as inspired as I was last year, I will be using all of these to write out this second book. Now, speaking of NaNoWriMo, that is actually where this book originated. I started plotting it out for Preptober and started writing it for NaNoWriMo. Now, as I talk throughout this video, you're going to be seeing some video clips of the book launch planner. Now, this is the exact planner that I used while I was planning the launching process for Meet Me at the Summit. So, I'm going to be showing you guys footage of all of the monthly spreads, because not only because they're cute, but you can actually see me using the word count stickers and the editing stickers. I will say the only confusing thing about this is that while I was writing Meet Me at the Summit, I was also writing this book, Plan a Profitable Book Launch. Now this launches next month. So I was writing both of these books at the same time, and then sometimes also editing Bethany's book, which is Secrets to Selling on Books on Social Media. Again, both these books are launching next month. So while working on Meet Me at the Summit, I was also juggling these two projects. So if at any point you see some confusing things in my planner, that is why. Alright, so let's break things down month by month, starting with October. So in October of 2020, I had no idea I was going to write Meet Me at the Summit. In October of 2020, at least at the beginning of the month, the story I was working on was called Sick and Twisted. And for reasons that I've explained in the past, I will link to the video down below where I talk about what inspired me to write Meet Me at the Summit. So anywho, long story short, in the middle of October, decided I don't want to work on Sick and Twisted anymore. I want to work on something else that makes me happy. So a week before NaNoWriMo started, I only had a week to outline an entire book, so I did. That's where Save the Cat Writes a Novel comes in handy. I used all the story beats to make the outline for Meet Me at the Summit. Granted, the story beats did change a little bit during the editing process, but because I was able to outline so thoroughly using this, it made it not only easy, but yeah, I was able to do it within a week's time, and it didn't require too much editing afterwards. If you want to check out this book, it'll be linked down below. I love this book. I've put in many bookmarks, made many notes, have an entire portion of a notebook that has notes dedicated to this. Highly recommend. With that said, let's move on to November, and that is when I really kind of had a blast using my book launch planner. Now, it's not decorated all cute, but obviously I did a lot of writing. November 2020 is when I wrote the majority of the first draft of Meet Me at the Summit. As you can see by my word count stickers, I wrote almost every day, and it was the first time that I've ever won NaNoWriMo, and I was super, super proud of it, but I wasn't done there. In December, I was determined to finish the first draft of Meet Me at the Summit before Christmas. Now, NaNoWriMo is all about writing a novel in the month, and a novel at minimum is 50,000 words, so everyone's goal is to write 50,000 words. However, most novels, and especially for me, my novels are typically 80 to 90,000 words. I wasn't gonna get that all written in a month, but I finished it in December. To be exact, December 22nd. Now, January is when I really started to dream of publishing. I knew I wanted to have it published that summer. I knew I was ready. It felt like a really solid book, and I was super excited about it. I started looking at editors right away. I contacted a bunch of people, asked for samples, asked for recommendations, and eventually I did decide on an editor. Now, while I was looking for editors, I was also editing the first draft, so it wasn't a complete sloppy mess. Now, by the end of January, I had my editor hired, and the way I was working with my developmental editor was I was sending the book to her first, and she was gonna write an editorial assessment. And after writing an editorial assessment, she'd let me make edits to my manuscript, and then I'd send the book to her again. But the second time I sent it to her was when she was gonna go in the document actually making comments and suggestions rather than a broad overview. Now, I vlogged this entire process from drafting the novel to publishing the novel. So I'm sure in the description of this video, I'll have links to all of these different vlogs where you can see all of this in action. So if there's anything where you're like, oh my god, I want to hear more about that process, look to the videos in the description below. February wasn't super exciting. That was when my book was with my editor, so I didn't have anything to do for Meet Me at the Summit. That's actually when I sat down and worked on the marketing book for the series. I drafted out the first draft of that book in this series. But again, we're not talking about that, but I thought I would mention it since I was juggling a couple of projects at the same time. And in case you want to do the same thing, that's kind of what I like to do. When one book is with an editor, I work on a different book. March was when I got my editorial letter back, and again, I love the editorial letter. It was super helpful. It made me realize what the big issues were, and it allowed me to go back and do some serious rewriting to my manuscript. In April, I edited my novel again while also looking for beta readers, and due to the time constraint, I actually ended up sending my book to my beta readers and to my editor for the second time at the same time. And that's what happened in April. Was after finishing my final edits, I sent it off to beta readers and I sent it off to my developmental editor to make her so she could write her like in document comments. Now, I will say this editing process for the story is not a process I plan on doing again. I got some really amazing feedback from my beta readers, so it almost makes me rather do 2 rounds of beta readers rather than 2 rounds with an editor, and I feel like, you know, I almost got more out of my beta readers than I did for my editor who I paid. So that might change for book 2, and you know, if that does change, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But I just wanted to share that because to me, I got more value out of my beta readers than I did the editor who I hired for a lot of money, which doesn't mean they were a bad editor. She was an amazing editor, but it was just one voice versus I think I had 6 or 7 beta readers, so you can't really compete with that. May is when I got my edits back from not only my editor, but from my beta readers. So I had feedback coming from about 6, 7, 8 different people, and it took me a while to sort through it, but it was all super valuable feedback. And that was probably the scariest stage of editing, because it's when I realized how much needed to be fixed. Like, before, the big picture stuff needed to be fixed, and I thought, oh, once the big picture stuff is fixed, then we're good, we're solid. But my beta readers and my editor helped me edit things on a scene level. So before, we were just making the plot flowed and characters were good. Now we're editing things on a scene level, making sure that things are really just high stakes, interesting, makes you want to turn the page, makes you maybe want to cry. I hear that's common for this book. But it was a much more intense round of edits in May, and it didn't take me very long to edit the book in May, but when I was editing like all day. I lived this book. I perform best when I can just hyper focus on one task, and for me it was making the edits to this book. So when I worked on it, that's all I worked on. So in the month of May is when the final developmental edits were made. So going forward after May, any other edits that were made to the manuscript were more sentence level, grammar, typo sort of edits, rather making edits to the story. The month of May is also when I revealed the cover for my book. Now, I didn't reveal the cover for my book any earlier because when I do my cover reveals, I also like to start the pre-order process. However, to start a pre-order, you naturally need to know the release date of your book, but I was very hesitant to give a release date until I was finished developmental edits because I'm just a very paranoid person and I was afraid that I was going to miss deadlines. So I just wanted to get those developmental edits done and locked in and knew that the story was good before I started taking pre-orders, because if you take pre-orders and then you have to move your release date back, you actually get penalized and then you can't do pre-orders and it's a whole thing. So I try to avoid that at all costs and make sure that when I do pre-orders that I am as positive about the release date as possible. And at the very end of May, again, May was another very exciting month, but at the end of May is when I sent my book to my copy editor. So in June, my book was with my copy editor. She was making her edits and then she gave it back to me. And then I made my edits based off the copy editor, and then I sent it over to my proofreader, and then that's when things got really stressful. So I don't want to go into it too much, but I've always had bad luck with editors, and it seems like there's always some sort of editor hiccup with every single book I release. But basically it came down to, after I sent my book to my proofreader, she let me know that there was a lot of copy edits that had been missed. So I actually had to ask my editor for a refund, and it was this whole thing, and it was very stressful. I will say I was glad it was caught. I was glad I had such a thorough, amazing proofreader, but it just made for a very stressful process. So it was like my proofreader now became my second copy editor because my first copy editor didn't do a good job, and yeah. So now we're in July. It's about 2 months before release, and the copy edits for the book are done. Granted, the copy edits were done by my proofreader, so now, even though it was technically a proofreader that proofread the book, the proofreader was doing a lot of copy edits, which made me very paranoid that proofreading edits were going to be missed. So I hired, I guess technically, a second proofreader in case my first proofreader missed anything because she was too busy worrying about the copy edits. And that proofreader wasn't the only person proofreading this book. I had a lot of people proofread Meet Me at the Summit. I am prone to typos. It's just something wrong with me. I'm not good at catching them for myself. I can't rely on myself to find that sort of thing, which is why A lot of people don't hire proofreaders because they'd rather pass the book by 10 other people and have those people proofread the book, which is fine. And in fact, that's something I still do. But I just like hiring someone whose sole purpose is to proofread because I'm just so unconfident in that area. But that means by the end of July, the book was completely proofread and finalized, which allowed me to order final copies of the book, and I was able to physically hold the book. This right here is actually a copy of the book that was printed before it was proofread, just because I literally did not care about the inside of the book. I just wanted to physically see it, physically hold it, and then also make sure the formatting looked good. And then comes August, and August was release month, and in August I did nothing to edit the book or anything. The book was finalized in July. So in August it was just all marketing, which is great because a lot of stuff happened in my personal life in August that made it very hard to even have time to market. So I was glad that the book was finished editing. So now that brings me to book 2. Meet Me at the Summit is part of the Road Trip Snapshot duology, which means there will be a total of 2 books because I just felt like I wouldn't be able to do the story justice by trying to wrap it up in one book, and I was like, I'm really enjoying and loving this story, so why not extend it into a second book? So that is what I am doing moving forward. October is Preptober, which means I'm preparing for NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, which means I'm using the entire month of October to outline book 2 in this duology. And I'm going to try to do as intense of an outline as possible so the writing process is as smooth as possible. My goal is to finish writing the book in mid-December, just like last time, but of course to win NaNoWriMo in the process. The only real thing about my timeline that I plan on changing is that I plan on working with 2 rounds of beta readers rather than 1, and working with less professional editors. Does that sound backwards? I want to publish a book as cheaply as possible because it's really hard to make an income publishing a book, and I spent a lot of money publishing this book. I'll be releasing another video later on talking about the actual price and the breakdown of everything that I paid and going into full detail, but again, that's another video. But to put it simply, I spent a lot of money to publish that book, and I have to sell a lot of copies to make that money back. And the easiest thing you can do to make a better income as an author is to cut your costs as much as possible. And I believe that when you're first starting out, you should definitely work with professional editors and, you know, do as much as you can to appear as professional. But as you get more experience, you kind of learn what works best with you. And I've had a different experience with editors every single book I've published, but the best experience I've had comparing everything is the experience I had with my beta readers. They did better than any editor I've ever worked with, and that's developmentally wise. Beta readers are really great at helping you edit the story. But I do believe that when it comes to things like copy edits and proofreading, that's still something I want to hire out for. It's something that is a known weakness of mine. But when it comes to the story, I believe that you can save so much money by working with beta readers. But again, I'm not at that stage yet, so I'll have to see how it goes. Like, if I send my book to beta readers for book 2 and everyone's just like, oh, it's great, it's fine, like, you don't need to change anything, then I'll feel a little doubtful and be like, okay, maybe I need to bring this to an editor. I feel like it can't be perfect, because to me that's the thing, is I know a lot of people, you know, you have this weird relationship where you want to get feedback and you want people to say like, oh, it's great, it's perfect, don't change anything. But at the same time, I feel like it's inevitable to need to change something. So when I get feedback that's like, you need to change this, this, and this, I feel way more confident about it because it feels very concrete and I can sit down and be like, okay, I can see what you're talking about. Okay, that is it for this video. I hope it was helpful for you guys, for me to break down how I not only wrote this book, but also published this book in less than a year. And hopefully I'll be able to do it all again for book 2 in this duology. Let me know if you guys are excited. Let me know if you are participating in Preptober and NaNoWriMo. I am. I'll even hopefully be doing vlogs on it, so if you want to see me vlog the process again, be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and I'll make sure that those videos happen. Otherwise, that is it for today, and I will see you guys all next week.